Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Soft Power Project. Today's episode, I like to talk about something incredibly important, which is boundary setting, especially during the reinvention process when we're shedding a lot of things that don't belong to us anymore. Reinventing is not about changing ourselves, it's about going back to ourselves and shedding all these things. It could be thought process and behaviors that just don't belong to you anymore. And boundary setting it comes hand in hand with this process. And it's so important. And it does take a lot of time and a lot of practice. I want to give you a real story, what that means to me and what boundary setting actually looks like. I know there are a lot of resources out there that gives you really quick definition of what boundary setting looks like. But I also wanted to give you the example and talk you through the voices and distraction you may get during the process, which that's one of the reasons why it makes it so hard. And I especially want to address this to a lot of women listeners listening to this podcast. You may follow in this category, especially if you are in the late 30s all the way to 50s. And I myself was definitely one of it. I was a classic people pleaser. That was my way of survival growing up. And that's how I got validation. And I love fixing things for people. I love finding the solution. I love preventing things from happening. I was the perfect secretary for everyone. I know what people like, the gift preference, a coffee preference. But at the same time, I really want everyone to like me because of that. And I also fall into the high achievers brackets because I was born in a family where my parents are definitely way more traditional. So being the good daughter, the good family member is incredibly important. And also at the same time, I was offered these opportunity to go abroad and study and to fight for the same opportunities as my male peers. So I wanted to achieve things. I wanted to be a great leader. I wanted to be a great boss. I wanted to be this responsible employees. I wanted to achieve more. So all of that was teaching me that I always need to fix things for people. I always need to do more. So do more was like my mantra. And that made it really hard when it comes to boundary setting. So let me give you the story. And I'm going to give the person just an acronym. Let's just call him W. And W, in my life, he loves to find ways to trigger me, to get into a verbal communication, more like a verbal battle where he has to have the last words. And for years and years, it was incredibly hard, especially on my mental health. But like I said before, it was all about me trying to fix things to do more, right? So I try to do that. I try to find ways to communicate better, to do more, to try to understand where W's coming from, his intention, his purpose. And I try to communicate in different tone of voice, body language, maybe more filler words, or this way and that way. Believe me, I tried, and that took about a year and a half that I started to realize that this is enough. It's affecting my mental health, and I see that we're completely misaligned. So I really start to ask myself the question, and this is where the internal communication is important. You got to ask yourself the question, where are you aligned? Are your motive the same? Are your intention the same? And obviously, W was he's trying to trigger it. He's trying to win the conversation. He's trying to win. And here I am, I was seeking peace. I was seeking understanding. I was seeking compromises. So as you can see, there is no win for me. If I continue to engage in that kind of relationship, that conversation, I will lose and my mental health will just started to go out a window. Like there is no winning at the end of the tunnel. There is no end of the tunnel, in fact. So I needed to do something different. And that's really when I decided that I need to set the boundary. And that's really how I learned setting boundaries. So eventually I told them that, hey, I cannot engage in this conversation anymore, and I'm not going to do that unless it's something very, very critical. And that's what I did. But right when I said it, I felt this immediate shift in me, knowing that I have moved myself from the old me towards the new me. But here comes the hard work, and that's why I wanted to do this video in the first place, is that he wasn't pleased for sure. Like he was not pleased. And you should never be surprised that that's the reaction that you're going to get. And that was a surprise to me because as a ex-people pleaser, man, that was hard because all I wanted is to fix things, to do more, to even try to explain why my boundary was important. But I know that, and I knew that there's nothing good that can come out of that because again, we are misaligned. It doesn't matter what I say or what I don't say. And in fact, if I say anything, that would be me breaking my own boundary. So I held my boundary. And how long did it take? Honestly, after me setting the boundary, it took me a year to actually hold the boundaries. No matter how he tried to trigger me, I decided to hold my boundary. And it was difficult because time after time, I have these like voices in my head just telling me, do more, say more, explain. He should understand you, or maybe you're not making this very clear. And I started to question myself. There's a lot of gaslighting to myself as well. So I had to really leave all these things as distraction and continue to hold my boundary. Now, the good part is that holding boundary is all about protecting your peace. The more you're able to do that, the more you're able to just live in the peace. And eventually, no matter how he tried to trigger me, I knew that it didn't matter. Like, I actually found it kind of amusing towards the end because it's kind of funny is that here I am holding my peace and here you are really trying to just like find little things and kind of like, kid in the playground trying to pull your skirt. That was it. Like that to me, it was really funny, but I succeeded because I'm able to hold my peace. That's exactly what it is. Boundary setting has nothing to do with the other person, has nothing to do with their behaviors and what they're going to say. It has everything to do with me. If I can control my reaction, my response, and how I protect my peace, I win. Another really good thing that come out of it is that I see the line very clearly from that point on. And no matter what kind of situation that I run into, I get to see that, hey, it's time to set the boundary. And I actually get to do that very, very quickly. And I was able to just say, hey, I'm not going to respond to this behavior anymore. And that was that. I was able to hold boundary. Now, does it mean that I never get triggered? No, I still get triggered. sometime, but it doesn't really mean that I failed. It just means that I'm a human. I'm a human being, and it's very common to get triggered, but it's really about how I handle the trigger. Am I going back to try to explain myself and try to find different ways to fix things? No, I'm holding my boundary. If the intention is misaligned, you got to hold your boundary. Another thing I just wanted to point out is that I was a communication coach for a very long time, for like a decade. I was a person that taught, consulted, and researched numerous communication methodology to the working professionals, to executives, to leaders, to founders. But one thing I realized is that people don't communicate with themselves enough. And that really is the most important thing, is if the intention and the motives and the purpose is not aligned, communication or external communication is really not going to solve anything. So yeah, communicating with people, the body language, the tone, that matters, but it really needs to start with, are you guys on the same page? And I really hope that today's video and my little story can help you just to understand the reality of boundary setting. And if you guys have any question or just wanted to chat with me, I'm going to leave a form in the description box, and feel free to sign up for a free discovery call. And I look forward to seeing you, and happy reinventing. It's a beautiful process and it's a liberating process. Bye.